Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for another episode of Living Hope, a weekly show designed to provide hope, inspiration, and education for those living with pancreatic cancer, sharing the real life stories of those really affected by this deadly disease and how they deal with it on a daily basis. With our host, she's feeling a little crabby here today. I don't know.
I'm not crabby.
Looking a little crabby here today. It's overcast in Southern California.
Hey, I'm not crabby. You're the crabby one.
Maybe it's me then. I don't know.
I'm just dealing still with a hoarse voice, so I hope you'll all forgive me. I'm not sure. Sometimes I feel like I'm Robert, so we'll do the best we can here.
Okay, Robert Luna. Who'd you bring with you today? Another survivor. We should be a positive story today. Here.
Yes, it's going to be a very positive story, and I'm very excited to have Lisa Andersson with us. Lisa lives in New York, is married, has 2 children, and a granddaughter that she called her shining light through her journey. Plus 2 dash hounds, which is
dash hounds. We don't call them dash. I had those as a kid. They're not dash hounds. They're dachshunds.
I called them wiener dogs, but you know, her thing said dash hounds. I wanted to do it.
See,
properly.
Lisa, she's a little crabby today here, so I'm just warning you.
I do have to say, apparently, this form of COVID has made me a little cranky. So I guess I will own up to that. So anyway. But so Lisa, what else do we want to know about you, or what else can you tell us about yourself?
So, thank you so much for having me, Roberta. I'm really excited to be here. And prior to being, so I was a palliative care nurse practitioner here in Glens Falls, at Glens Falls Hospital, and I was seeing a lot of cases of pancreatic cancer and working with the oncology team, and I found it really strange because it wasn't one of the common cancers we had been seeing. And so I started to have, I had symptoms what I thought I had was food poisoning, and which kind of went away, but not completely. And then a week later at work, I became extremely nauseous out of the middle of nowhere and knew something was wrong. So I went to urgent care and was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, adenocarcinoma, in March of 2022. I was fortunate enough to know my team that I worked with, and having the experience of palliative care, it has helped me so much along my journey. I was able to complete 8 rounds of chemotherapy and 5 rounds of radiation. And then I had a successful Whipple done with Dr. Myron Schwartz at Mount Sinai in December of 2015, followed by 4 more cycles of FOLFIRINOX, and completed that journey and have now been cancer-free. So feeling good. And again, really grateful to both my team down at Mount Sinai and at the C.R. Wood Cancer Center, where everyone's taken really good care of me. I feel like I was fortunate to have the palliative care background because I was able to recognize symptoms and know how to manage them. Because as you know, with pancreatic, a lot of times you're dealing with digestive issues. I ended up losing 20 pounds. And I had been on pancreatic enzymes, but I didn't take the Creon right after surgery, which I probably should have. So I was playing catch up with that. Was able to, so I was also trained as an integrative nurse practitioner, and was able to use homeopathy, or a remedy called Arsenica album, which is nice because it doesn't interfere with any of the chemo or other medications. And that helped me with my nausea and not feeling well. Because of my previous journey studying all the integrative modalities, I used Qigong, first a medical Qigong, where my practitioner was able to go in and balance my energy and help relieve. So from a Chinese medicine perspective, chemotherapy brings in a lot of heat. So she was able to dissipate the heat, so I really was able to tolerate the chemo. I also decided to take a medical Qigong course for my own healing, which proved invaluable, especially after the Whipple surgery, which is quite extensive. And I was able to do Qigong right in the hospital, so I was able to move And that helped a lot with the digestive issues and also my mood and just well-being.
I think
I
Paul
also,
has a question for you.
I
okay.
normally just stay quiet during these things, but occasionally I have to pipe up and ask a question. Just this morning, here, this is OC Talk Radio. We do a stream of various conversations here. We have another show called Health Talks with a doctor who's a Vietnamese doctor who's very into integrative medicine. Define what that is. Talk about that a little bit, because we just talked to somebody this morning, another integrative pharmacist of all things, and this idea that you integrate more than just Western medicine, pills, and procedures. Talk about that a little bit.
Right. So Western is mainly reductionistic, mechanistic. You're looking at a problem and trying to solve that. And so integrative doesn't take away the Western medicine. It brings in all sorts of other modalities and looking at the total mind, body, spirit, right? So we're looking at systems. We're looking at how are you sleeping? How are you feeling? How are you moving? What fuel are you adding to your body with nutrition? So these things are all so important. And then you can use other modalities. It doesn't even have to be, but
And
you want to
modalities meaning other ways of thinking of medicine, like Chinese medicine is based on this idea that there's somehow an energy
so
flowing
Chinese
through your body,
medicine
right?
is from China, and that looks at, so you have acupuncture, which I've used for my neuropathy from the chemotherapy, which helped. You have Ayurveda, comes from India, and
Right.
yoga, which you look at doshas, which are different makeups of a person, right? So and a lot of times you're looking at pulses, you're picking up feeling pulse, looking at the tongue, looking at how the body's going on. I've studied yoga.
Roberta had somebody on who was doing Reiki, which seems to be
Okay.
based on more of a Chinese, a Japanese philosophy of kind of energy flowing through your body here.
Right. So qi is considered energy.
Right.
And so qigong is looking at where are the blockages, which is also the point of acupuncture. They believe there's a block in your energy channel, and the needle helps transmit the energy so it can relieve pain or symptoms. So the acupuncture has helped me with mood. I had some challenges with feeling down or not knowing where I fit in, because anyone who's experienced cancer, you're no longer the same person you were prior.
So I
have
just
used
wanted to
a
get that out because you threw the term out casually, and I don't think everybody
All right.
fully understands. Roberta herself, a 20-year survivor, you don't necessarily use Chinese medicine or other sorts of things, although you've tried lots of different things. For you, you do some yoga, I think, and
Yoga,
some other
meditation,
and other
Reiki I started. Yeah. Herbal supplements.
herbal
and,
supplements. So this idea of adding to, not just dealing with chemo procedures, other sorts of things like that. Trying to add to
Right,
it, right?
because, and also I had a previous life as a pain management nurse practitioner as well. And so people get concerned. They're like, oh no, I don't want to take all those drugs. And I didn't want to for my surgery, I had an epidural and I wanted the least amount of medication as possible. But even that being said, I had that and I had 2 doses of opiates. I had withdrawal.
Wow.
Which
Just from that little
is
bit.
so
right?
interesting to experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you talked about palliative care, and I know a lot of people don't understand what that is, and
Another
also,
term I was going to explore. Yeah.
yeah,
right,
also
okay.
confuse it. So with hospice, so if you could explain exactly what palliative care is, please.
Yeah, so palliative care is looking at it's really a great thing for anybody who has a serious illness, such as pancreatic cancer. It is looking at the whole body. It is looking at how to help you alongside your oncologist and medical team, how to help you maneuver through having this. So there's an educational piece, like, do you understand what your chemotherapy is, or what your options are for treatment? Do you understand there might be radiation therapy? Do you understand what a Whipple is? So that's one piece. We also do family meetings to help family members or caregivers understand alongside the patient. And we look at something called goals of care, which people don't understand what that is either. It's like, so when I was diagnosed, I was fortunate to understand a lot, but I wanted to have knowledge and understanding. Some people don't want to know. They're just like, you know what? I'm going to give it up to you. You take care of me. I don't want to know all the details. I just want to show up and do what I can. So it's really understanding. Or what's most important to me, and who do I want to share this journey with? Do I have a special event that I need to get to that I'm aiming to go for? So family meetings, and symptom management is a huge piece.
And isn't
So
there some,
it's
but it's
available
also
to
trying to make you comfortable. I mean, palliative is the stage before hospice where there's nothing we can do for you. We're going to stop treatment and we're going to try and make you as comfortable and make this as meaningful as possible your final days. And palliative doesn't necessarily mean death. It just means prior, it's a post-treatment kind of process that I don't think most Americans understand. I don't think I
It
understand.
doesn't necessarily even have to be post-treatment. It can be from the onset of diagnosis, because as you know, a lot of us have symptoms right away. So it's symptom management. And again, palliative care is like the umbrella where hospice falls under. As you correctly stated, though, hospice is when you no longer have any treatment options, and you're supposed to be like as a practitioner, we predict that you will not live 6 months from the time of going on hospice care. So people get afraid, and they think, and even hospice, they think hospice is giving up, which I also worked in hospice in the past, where hospice can bring people to life and you can always sign off. You don't have to sign on and that's it. You're not giving up. You're actually allowing others to come in and care for you, and also to help your loved ones, because they get a lot of more support. But back to palliative care, it's when you have those symptoms along the way. It's like, you know what, I have pain. And so they're going to help you, and not just with medication. They can use yoga, they can use movement, they can, I found that even like stretching side to side helped move that gas through the digestive system, which was causing a lot of pain. So really tuning in and working alongside and with the patient and family as to what they kind of dictate the care of where you're going. We also, at certain points, talk about advanced directives, which are, what do you want done? We should all have this, right? Where we want to know, and I think I learned that message from COVID, and that was really struck home. You don't know what tomorrow brings. So we want to know, would you want to be on a ventilator? Would you want to have a feeding tube? And so you make those decisions, and we support that. And again, it's something that you update. If you're down, I lost 20 pounds. I was really tiny. If I had a stage 4, I would not want to have CPR done on me, which is going to be bringing more damage to my body. And statistics show that most people that go through that at the point are on a ventilator and don't get better. So again, it's like a huge education piece of preparing. You're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
When should somebody consider palliative care? When they're first diagnosed?
Absolutely. So through Mount Sinai, I actually was able to make a video for them on an educational piece of, yes, we recommend from the start, because you don't know when you're going to need it, and you'll be establish that relationship with the team, and they're involved as little or as much as you need. If you don't need anyone ever, they won't be involved, but they're in the background there, knowing if on the weekend you develop sudden pain that you have and you don't have to go to the ER, right? You can call the palliative care provider and they can talk you through. And if they think you need to go to the ER, then they'll direct you.
And how does a patient find out about palliative care? Because when I was first diagnosed, and maybe it wasn't around then, I don't know, but I didn't know anything about it until later, much later.
It depends. It really should come from your oncologist. I know even my small institution of Glens Falls Hospital, that's where I was working as a palliative care provider. So we were brought in. That's how I met my oncologist. We worked together and did family team meetings together. So he would call me in. So you get a referral, and normally it's from the oncologist, and a lot of the big cancer centers also have palliative care. It really depends on what resources they have within the hospital. We have like 3 providers, or we had 3 providers. Now they've really geared up at Glens Falls, and we don't typically do outpatient there. It's only when you're kind of in the hospital.
But isn't it needed more when you're not in the hospital, when you're at home, or? Is
Yes, yes. And so, if you come into the hospital and have that, then we would see you, right? So we were only, unfortunately, it's a smaller facility, so we had only inpatient. So I was actually advocating to start we're working on starting an outpatient palliative care as well within the cancer center. That's, if we have the resources, that's what we would do. But it's really, it's best case scenario if it's available. That, and also a nutritionist is a huge piece of that. Should be, palliative care. I mean, sorry, pancreatic cancer should be treated from an integrative and from a team approach. You want to have your oncologist, you know, your medical oncologist, and then radiation oncologist, surgeon, right? And then social worker, nutritionist, and palliative care. That's ideal
Yeah,
if
it
it's
would be
possible.
ideal, just especially the nutritionist, because there's so much going on that, it's sometimes difficult to manage, especially if you are taking enzymes and whatnot.
And
Um,
I found I didn't know anything about pancreatic enzymes. I mean, I took over the counter before my surgery, and then I had heard things about Creon. Oh no, it's going to give you a bad gas, and it's, no, you don't. So I didn't start it right away, as I said, and even then, a lot of providers don't know. There's different dosages. There's 12,000. There's 24,000, 36,000. I know people who are 10-year survivors who are still maneuvering because certain foods you eat, if you're going to have more of a fattier food, you might have more symptoms. So you kind of have to really gauge it, and you don't always do it right.
Now I'm a 21 survivor, you're a survivor, and I'm still playing with it. So, and I don't
Oh,
always get it right. And, sometimes you wonder, you have to take so much of it that by the time you're done taking all that, you're really full. So it's, trying to a game plan. But I know you used many different methods during your journey for relief. You talked about some. Can you go ahead and talk a little bit more about what you did do?
sure. Um, as I said, one of the things that I used was qigong, which is just it's like very low, gentle movements of, and it's just kind of following the energy path. You can gather energy in and bring it down. You're Um, and you can also just, as I said, gentle movement to help keep the energy flowing in your body and to help keep you strong and vital.
How does that differ from Tai Chi? I see people. I took Tai Chi for a while at a community center, and it's controlled movement that's supposed to release energy in your body, but it's not like acupressure, where somebody else is applying something to relieve. You're somehow it's almost like stretching. It's almost like yoga, but with more of an intent to release energy in your body here, right?
Yes, well, to gather it and utilize it. So Qigong and Tai Chi are similar. Tai Chi was more of a martial art, and it's kind of like a different, I've done both, and it's very similar. I have a friend who does Tai Chi. So I think Qigong's a little slower, maybe, and um, but very similar, both, along the same philosophy of gathering that chi or using the chi and following the path. The meridians, those are your channels of energy. That's what acupuncture follows. So you have a lung meridian, and um, so there's points along your body.
And
So
can I ask? I'm sorry to keep jumping in here, but
that's
why
okay.
you don't look Chinese? Why did you try qigong?
You know what? I have always been fascinated with the human body. My mom was a nurse. I read her books when I was in third grade. And so for me, I wanted to know everything and anything I could about the human body and how to heal and how to stay healthy. So I had heard about it. I had seen it practiced, and I know yoga. I'm a yoga practitioner. I'm trained in that, and that requires more strength. So, I mean, there's certain poses I can still do, but there's some that I can't do. And but yoga also has the breath work. There's actually 7 limbs of yoga. Part of it's meditation, part of it's energy levels, but and the movement, the asana is just the practice part. So you can still do more of just the mindfulness and meditation, like Roberta was talking about. But Qigong, I just found this course that I was able to do. I was through Ithaca, but I was able to do it online when I was diagnosed. So it was something to keep me connected to other people. and also to, I just felt like it was a healing modality that I could use.
Were there others in your group that were dealing with cancer, and that's why they were there, or were you mainly the only person there?
I was pretty much the only the only cancer. Although we also did a sound healing that was part of that, and we also studied um, many different ways to stay in touch with your body again, which is yoga means union between mind and body. So qigong is similar. So we were studying how to use breath work. How do you let go of anger? How do you overcome fear? So we had a sound healing teacher who was from Belgium, who was phenomenal, Jakob. And so he would have us tune in. We'd make sounds like, okay, tune into your heart and make the sound of what it sounds like. So it was kind of a little scary at first, but so his wife actually had been diagnosed with cancer, and unfortunately she passed away during our coursework. So but other than that, there were people from all over the world who are in this course. That's the beauty of Zoom and online, who were able to join in. So I found that fascinating.
You said you made like the sound. Can you explain that? I'm a little.
Right.
That
So,
sounds kind of strange. Yeah, right. I'm going to make the sound of
so
my
if
heart
I
here.
want to, I can show you.
Sure, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
If I'm going to tune into my pancreas, I kind of just take some deep breaths and just emit the sound that I feel comes from there.
Oh my. Now, is that a calm pancreas or an angry pancreas?
Yeah, that's the way I feel every morning, right?
And so you can tune into your body and so we did all sorts of exercises just to kind of, be more in touch with our body and what we were feeling, and very powerful.
Wow, that's really. I'm gonna have to get some of this stuff a try. I haven't tried that yet, but
Okay.
I'm not,
You know
not
what?
sure.
It's through the I'll send that link to you because
Sure.
they have a free Sunday morning class that you can go to, and then Jakob was doing a sound a sound class that everyone could go to as well.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I want to know what my pancreas sounds like or not, but it'd be interesting, especially on an angry day, right?
Right, right, and you know what? And the more you do it, you can do it again and again, and and then you can clear.
Yeah.
So that's whatever energy is stored up in there.
Yeah, and I know this may sound unusual to a lot of people, but I think it's, whatever it is that gets you through it and helps, it's got to be positive, it's got to be something. So whatever it is, if it works for you, I say, keep doing it and give it a try. Like I said, I'm gonna try some of this stuff. I'm really good at trying things out and just wanting to experience it myself. But you also volunteer for the Canopy Center Collective. Can you tell us what that is and what you do there?
Canopy Cancer Collective was started by Joni, who was diagnosed with stage 4 is pancreatic cancer. And she found that she was fortunate. She's from California, and her husband, Scott, has done very well. So she got the best care possible. And she looked around at the other people she was seeing and found that not everyone was getting that same quality of care. So her mission was to equalize care among every patient who's ever diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So they invited 14 different institutions throughout the US. Mount Sinai is one of those, and I am their patient representative. So we had the first conference that I went to last year, which is a learning center with 14. There was University of San Diego, San Francisco, there's Texas. I mean, throughout US, these big organizations who are treating people with pancreatic cancer, and there were providers, and there were some other patients and caregivers as well. And I stood in a room of 100 people who were so passionate about improving the outcomes, because if you look at statistics, it's not very promising, and we want to improve that. So we want to offer whatever we can to patients. And also, I mean, that's really difficult for a provider as well, to deal with people who are really sick and who might not survive and their families on a daily basis. It really can take your energy away. So they really need to practice self-care. So I'm fortunate enough to be their member. And I'm going out again in November um, to, again, really meet with these centers and really give the patient voice because sometimes as providers, with insurance dictating what we can and cannot do, the amount of time, it's hard to always give the care that you want to, give the time and energy. So, we're just helping them see, like, well, this works for your institution, and then we're going to meet with the other institutions and share. As I said, I made the palliative care video, which is now shared through every institution. And other institutions have written information on how to do symptom management. We're going to work on, if you have to go in the ER, let's make it an easier path. But we really want to improve outcomes and make it that everyone, clinical trials, that's a huge piece. Not everyone, everyone should get genetically tested and find out if they have an option. Because right now there's just really 2 chemotherapy options for pancreatic cancer. And so if you have a mutation, then that allows you to receive immunotherapy, and that helps many people heal as well. So knowing what your options are, really having that strong interdisciplinary team with your nutritionist on board. We're looking at, is everyone being offered pancreatic enzymes? Do they understand what that is? Do the providers know how to diagnose?
Can you give us
It's palliative care.
can you give us the link to the video that you did?
I will. I don't have it right now.
Okay, I
get
can
to
get it
it.
and make sure it goes into the notes then. You were you said you're NED, which is no evidence of disease. How often do you get checked, or how often will you be getting checked?
I'm every 3 months, and I go next week.
Oh, well, you look great, so we're going to hope for, it's great news. But do you have, I mean, they, for pancreatic cancer, a lot of cancers, they use the word remission. We don't use that usually for pancreatic cancer. It's usually no evidence of disease. But do you have like do you do the scanxiety, or do you have any fear when you're going in for testing, or are you pretty much comfortable with everything?
I'm comfortable, even I think I shared with you before that I feel like this was my journey that I was meant to be on, and everything has gone as well as it could possibly go. So, there might be other things that I need to experience, and whatever the powers that may be, I want to live every day to the fullest and have quality of life, and that's what I want to share with others. I want everyone to be able to live their best life, feeling the best that they can, and be heard and be understood at what do you want.
Are you living a good life? Do you have good quality of life?
I have a great quality of life.
It's great to hear. And it's unfortunately the time goes by so darn fast, but yeah, maybe we'll have to come back sometime and really dive into some of these things. But for somebody who's just coming up to you and say, I was just diagnosed, what would be the best advice you could give them?
Start off, you have to find a team that you trust. And that's actually a Chinese medicine piece. My medical Qigong person said, you have to trust. So I found my team. My surgeon actually was a yoga practitioner or provider. And so I knew when I met him, and I just gave it over. I followed, again, I'm very aware of my body. So that's the first part, is starting out with getting the team that you trust and that will take care of you, and that they're going to have that interdisciplinary team. And don't be afraid to get second, third opinions. Don't ever give up. Just keep going. And, Joni has had stage 4 cancer. It's been 5 years. She's doing well.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I know many people who are stage 4. So don't think, just keep going, keep looking for answers, solutions. I'm available. If anyone ever wants to reach out to me, I would love to help guide you or help in any way that I can possibly help you.
And how could somebody reach out to you if they wanted to?
My email is Lisa, Lisa, the number 4, Pain, Pain, @gmail.com.
Okay, thank you. And we'll make sure also to put that in the notes. But I want to thank you for coming and sharing your story. It's very inspirational. And for those of you who aren't watching but are listening, she looks terrific. And we'll keep you in our thoughts and prayers that your scan comes out great. And we're going to continue. And we'll see you again very soon, I hope. Um,
Thank you, Rita.
oh, thank you. I appreciate it. As long as you say my name, I shall live forever is dedicated to Rena Santora. Rena was a nurse at UCI Medical Center where she helped develop the trauma center concept. It was one of the first paramedic radio nurses nicknamed Radio Rena. So thank you, Rena, and her family for sharing her with us and for her inspiration. And thank you, Lisa, for being with us. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Wow. Well, there's the kind of story that you tune in to hear each and every week on Living Hope, a weekly journey designed to provide hope, inspiration, and education. I think we had all three this morning here for those living with pancreatic cancer, sharing the real-life stories of those really affected by this deadly disease and how they deal with it on a daily basis. And if you need some help dealing with it, Lisa gave you her email. We'll put it in the notes. Lots of other resources here in Southern California. The one we often recommend is PanCan 877, the number 2 PANCAN for the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Certainly there's many others, Hirschberg Center up in UCLA and others around the country here. Wherever it is, go find your team and start your journey. And come back and hear more about the journeys we chronicle each and every week here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.